And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Go ahead and say it, Ed. Go Dragons!
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
You like that? You like that?
F it. Jamar's down there somewhere.
The New Orleans Saints select Marcus Davenport.
No!
Splash Brothers. Yep.
It's playoff. Keep going, Brace.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Stephen F. Austin game. I did see a couple guys watching the Bama Texas game on their phone while waiting in a line though. So
yeah,
I guess that was good. But yeah, let's get into this Tech win that actually happened. So y'all lead the way.
Yeah, Bill. Very good game there. Started out very, very strong. It's good to see us first drive right down the field. Got real creative there inside the red zone with how we scored on that Smoke Harris touchdown. A lot of fans, a lot of Tech fans have been wanting to see some creativity, and finally we got it. But it's a good start, real good start on both sides of the ball. Defense came out and shut the offense down of Stephen F. Austin on their first drive. So it was a really good start. We worked on some things that we had to correct from week one. Ran the ball great, 300 total yards.
And that's
we're running. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when's the last time we had a 300-yard rushing game?
Not to my knowledge. Not anytime soon. Yeah. But Marquise Crosby. I mean, what can you say about him? 197 yards. I listened to a little bit of the Sonny Cumbie show last night, and he said, look, the running game was working. We were going to stick with it. So I was very impressed of how we finally just did a complete 180 with the running game from week one to week two.
Yeah. And it was, well, I won't say it was scary, but when as far as score goes, through the first quarter, when Stephen F. Austin went down and scored, wasn't it 10-7 at that point?
Yep. Yeah, it was that pick. Yeah, that pick right there on deep on our side of the field. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, that didn't seem to phase us. It seemed like we just shook it off and just kept rolling after that little hiccup.
Well, yeah, and really turned it on. I thought Parker McNeil looked really good.
He did, yep. I agree.
Now, I'm not, statistically, at 11 for 23, 197 yards, 11 for 23. Now, that's less than 50%. So
yep.
We definitely, I don't know that we had a lot of drops. I can't remember.
Yeah, I couldn't remember in that first half if we did or not. But yeah, 11 and 23 is just not what you want to see out of your quarterback. But I felt like the play calling was very compromising to what we were trying to do. But yeah, we ran the ball very, very well. But yeah, hopefully Parker McNeil can get a little bit more comfortable next week against Clemson or this week. But yeah, I felt like I think that he was just, I don't know if this was the game plan was to run as much as we did, but like Sonny said, it was working. So we just stuck with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Marquise Crosby, man, 197 yards.
Yep.
16 carries. I mean, that's 12.3 yards a carry.
That's very impressive. I don't care in what league, if you're in high school, junior high, college, whatever. That's very impressive. And the good thing is we stole him from Hattiesburg. So that's even more impressive.
Sweet.
Yeah, we stole it from Hattiesburg. And so I was like, yeah, that's just a double whammy.
Did we get him in the Jack Abraham trade?
He's a freshman, so I don't know if he's a redshirt freshman or what, but he is a freshman. So, but yeah, it's very impressive. His little home debut was very nice.
Oh yeah, and as far as receivers, Trey Harris still, yep.
Yep, and it's crazy because what Griffin Hebert scored was the same play he scored on in the Missouri game. It's the exact same play is what Sonny Cumbie said. So whatever we do, we need to make sure we have that play every game. Hopefully Griffin Abear can score on that same, on the same play call.
And it's just it was like a 10-yard slant.
That's all it is. Yeah.
I mean, and he just catches it in stride and turns it on.
Yep.
Like I said last week, I didn't realize he could run that fast.
That fast, yeah. And the only downside was that was his only catch, but it was a very effective catch and run. But hopefully we can get him more involved against Clemson. So I'm kind of eager to see how this offense is going to look going into week 3, knowing what we did last week. Yeah,
for sure. And so what did you think about Landry Liddy getting in for a series?
I didn't see him in that series. I was already home trying to get the kids to bed. So I didn't catch that last bit of that game. But what was he, 2 for 3?
He was 2 for 2.
2 for 2. Okay.
2 for 2, so, 16 yards. And he looked really poised. I mean, he stood in the pocket and did his progressions and delivered the ball. I mean, it looked like a freaking quarterback. So my question was, why if we were gonna give him, and I know he's got four games
total,
and not lose his red shirt, but if you were gonna get him in, you got him in for 3 plays.
Exactly.
Why not? Why not?
A quarter and a half, maybe.
Well, I mean, it was 27. It was 37 to 7 at halftime.
Yeah,
I think that's right. We had it in hand.
we did. Yeah, it was kind of weird there that how we only came in for that one series. So I'm like you. I kind of wish we could have. Got him in for a little bit more of a couple more series.
Yeah, and if you look at the schedule, there's probably not another game that he'll get to come into, because from here on out, you go to Clemson. Yeah, maybe you could throw him in if Tech's down by like 40 or something, let him get a little experience there. But I doubt that happens. It didn't happen at Missouri, so why would it happen at Clemson,
Yep.
And then after that, I mean, straight conference games pretty much, besides South Alabama, who is a pretty good ball team, and that's going to be a tough test. I don't see any of the CUSA games being out of hand in favor of Tech. I mean, I don't know if Tech maybe takes one and dominates that we don't expect, but so at least they got to put him in and let him get a little bit of experience this year, even if it was just 3 plays. Now, something I didn't get to, like I said, I didn't get to watch the game, but we talked about McNeil being 11 for 23, 197 yards. So, I mean, that's a good, average per catch. I mean, per completion, because only 11 completions, 197 yards. That's pretty good. So was he trying to push the ball downfield, and that's what kind of led to some of those incompletions? Or was it like short passes that maybe were just not thrown well, or like what? Because, if he was trying to push the ball downfield and we were just trying to be aggressive still and just air it out a little bit, then I'd be okay with that under 50% mark.
Yeah, there was a little bit of both where he was
Bill, your mic's messed up, I think. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Okay, but yeah, if you want me to talk.
Yeah, you can go.
Okay. Yeah, from what I saw, there was kind of a little bit of both, where they were trying to push it downfield, where they were trying to get like a go route and trying to connect on those for the most part. It was intermediate stuff, 10 to 15 yards, stuff like that. So it was it was kind of a little bit of both. So that's what I was seeing. So
yeah, and you hate to see. It'd be less promising if it was just a lot of short passes that he just straight up was just missing.
Yeah.
But if he was trying to be a little aggressive, get some new plays in the offense against a team that probably the easiest opponent we'll have all year, then I don't hate that. But the Crosby kid, I mean, being a true freshman, or I'm not sure if he's true freshman or redshirt freshman, getting that stat line out there in his first home game. I mean, wow, that excites you for the future.
Yeah. It does, because that's a position where it's pretty much open, kind of like the quarterback. So we needed somebody to step up and really be that lead running back. And so he was the guy that happened to have the hot hand last week. So hopefully he can get some more reps against a very, very good Clemson defense. So I look for him to be the lead bell cow starting Saturday.
Yeah, and Thornton, 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown as well as a sophomore. I mean, that's a good stat line as well. Both of them should be back next year unless they hit the transfer portal. But
yeah, I agree, and hopefully we can secure those two. But it's kind of weird that those guys overrode Harlan Dixon and Greg Garner. So be interesting to see where those two fall going throughout the season.
Before we move on to looking ahead at next week, no Devontae Lee again. Was he out because of injury or something, or what?
I didn't see him on the field. Didn't see him out there. I don't know if Bill, if you had anything on him.
No, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, hopefully I can maybe find something out for next week. But yeah, it's kind of weird that he wasn't even out there. Did not see him in the box score. So kind of questioning what's going on out there. Is he hurt? Is he banged up or what? So
yeah, hopefully he finds a way out there for
sure. Defensively, I thought are y'all through talking about offense? You want to jump into defense?
Yep.
I was going to say, defensively, Tyler Grubbs, 10 total tackles. He's flying around everywhere. He looks really good. And
yeah, he does. And Bill, I mean, anytime, since the Missouri game, BJ Williamson was our leading tackler. Anytime you can not have your cornerback as your leading tackler is always good. But yeah, I felt like the defensive line did very well, letting those linebackers play free. I think the more they can use their instincts, the better off we're going to be, because Tyler Grubbs, he's just a tackling machine. So it's very nice to see him get 10 tackles because that's what he does best, is when he's using his instincts rather than trying to shuck off a lineman to make the tackle.
Right. Oh, and also Jaden Cole, he had 6 tackles, had a half a sack, half a tackle for a loss, and an interception that he returned 12 yards.
He's from Neville, I believe, right? I think he is, at least.
Yes, he is from Neville, and he's a real talented player. I think he played quarterback at Neville, and then he made the transition to safety. But I think he played a little bit of safety at Neville as well as I think quarterback is when he was there. But yeah, he's just a football player. He's a guy that really has set in well at that safety position, has done a very, very good job, and looking forward to what kind of season that he has.
Yeah. So just overall domination by Tech, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And one thing I don't know, Hoot, if you saw this, and I'm sure Clay, you hadn't seen this yet, but the freshman Jaden Burnett, it's number 98. One point he Stephen F. Austin was, I forgot who we played. Stephen F. Austin was they were lining up and they were running like a little reverse or something. And when the quarterback, I guess he faked a handoff, and then he was going to pitch it to the end coming around, and Jaden Burnett just basically took it out of his hand. I mean, it looked like he was giving him a handoff.
Yep.
Really.
It's a very
yep. I mean, it hit the ground. The ball went on the ground. But then I think on the very next series, he caused a fumble and had a scoop and score. So
Yeah,
that was pretty neat.
Yeah, because Burnett, he has a real bright future here at Tech, and one thing that we didn't mention last week is that Scott Power, the defensive coordinator, actually came from Stephen F. Austin. So Scott knew pretty much. I would feel like I had a good feel of what Stephen F. Austin was trying to do. So it did make it a little bit easier for our defense to really zone in and play real free, because they were able to kind of scheme a little bit on what Stephen F. Austin liked to do. And so, but yeah, that was definitely a feather in our cap last week, knowing that Scott Power came from Stephen F. Austin.
And another stat, only three penalties for 35 yards.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yep.
Looking at the team stats, Tech outgained them by 200 yards, outrushed them by 150. You got to love to see that. Only 3 penalties as opposed to 10 for Stephen F. Austin, 1 turnover. I mean, overall domination, as we should have. So if you're a Tech fan, you got to be happy about that. And
yeah, if it wasn't domination, then it would not be a good day.
And that sets you up for the Clemson game that will be happening this Saturday. When is the last time Tech played a top 5 team in the nation?
Ooh, that's a good trivia question, but I do not know.
When they played LSU a couple years ago, were they ranked that year?
Well, in 2003 they were probably top 5.
Yeah,
and maybe in 2007 when we went down there, because that's the year they won both those years they won the national championship.
Yeah.
So
when they played them again, was either the year before? They played against Burrow, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it was the year before or the year of the championship.
Yeah.
And it was actually kind of a close game, I think. Let me look at that. Yeah. It was 38-21, September 22nd.
It was,
2018.
that's right. Yep.
LSU is number 6 in the nation.
Yeah, I was at that game, and that was a really good game. I think Jamar had one of his better games there at Tech, and we came close, and the offense really looked good. That was a very close game for most of that game, and it was definitely a fun game.
So Clemson, what are we thinking?
Well, if you were to ask me, this is probably, to me, the best time to play Clemson, because next week they play on the road at Wake Forest, nationally ranked team. Sam Hartwell is back for them. So that's a big game that they're going to be circling. So this is actually, to me, I think this is the best time for Tech to go play a team like Clemson, who is, 5th in the nation. So for me, I kind of like where we're at, because hopefully we can catch them with their pants down, them looking forward to next week, to where, look, last week there's 3 upsets that I didn't see coming. So hopefully, if the offense can, if the offensive line can buy Parker McNeil a little bit of time to where that defensive line is not wreaking havoc on him, I feel like we might have a shot. I think the 34 points that Vegas has said, I think it's just too high. I just don't see us losing by 34 points. But I like the setup. I like where we're at going into Clemson. I feel like this offense has kind of got a little bit of continuity, got some more confidence going forward. So I feel like we're in a good spot going to Clemson with what we have going right now. So I don't see it as a 34 loss. I see it around 24, 27 points, somewhere around there. I just don't think Clemson is going to show all their cards, knowing what they had next week.
Yeah, so last week Clemson played Furman, who I'm not sure what conference they're in. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Tech's a better football team than them. I don't know that for a fact, but Clemson was a 45.5 point favorite. and Clemson only wins 35-12 at home. So if you're Tech, you're thinking that Clemson only wins by 23 points, and then they're like, screw it, we're still going to give this a 34-point line for Tech.
Hey,
So,
but Furman is in the Southern Conference, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
SoCon conference, what they call it.
So who do they even play down there? They played the Citadel and Samford.
And like Samford,
it's
Samford,
Chattanooga,
Wofford, and all that. Yeah.
Hey, the Citadel
Wofford.
almost beat Alabama a couple years ago, so I guess that's a good thing for the Southern.
Yeah.
But
it's a real good basketball conference.
Yeah, it is. It is. A lot of those teams are scary come March.
Yeah.
But Clemson, their defense, that's their main thing. Their offense hasn't really clicked this year. A lot of people are calling for the backup quarterback to kind of take over and do that next step, as Clemson always does, because they have like five-star quarterbacks on the roster. I think his name's Cade Klubnik. People were thinking he might be the next Trevor Lawrence to step in as a freshman and lead the way, because DJ Uiagalelei, whatever, how you pronounce it. Yeah. He had that game when Trevor had like a concussion or something against Notre Dame, and then he went out there and killed it, and then everyone's like, "Oh, this is the next Clemson quarterback." He's been disappointing, and not off to a great start this year either.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because I was actually going to bring up that same game, because that game was at South Bend, and he, even though they lost, he actually looked really, really good. So, and everybody was thinking, okay, after Trevor leaves, this guy's going to he's going to be the next Deshaun Watson. And last year they just struggled. They averaged 27 points a game on offense last year, and that's with them having to put up a 48 and 44 there towards the end of the game. So, towards the end of the season. So when you look at it, this guy really, I feel like the consensus of a Clemson fan is thinking this guy has underperformed, and I think that's where we can really explore their weakness, is that maybe our defense can kind of keep them limited on the offense side of the ball, to where I feel like if the Tech defense can get some stops, have a good first half, because look, our first two games, we have started out strong. The first quarter in the Missouri game, in the first quarter, putting up 21 points last week. So if our defense can have another good start like they've had the last couple of weeks, look, anything can happen when it gets in the second half, and the pressure is going to be all on Clemson then at that time. So I feel like if our defense can really keep this offense to a minimum, I feel like our chances are a little bit better, because look, I feel like DJ has really got the short end of the stick as far as them being the next Trevor Lawrence. So I feel like if we can keep him flustered, I just like our chances.
Yeah, last year he played every game pretty much for them. Only threw for 2,200 yards and 9 touchdowns to 10 picks. That's unheard of for a Clemson quarterback, especially in the past 10 years, really. Because you think back, Trevor Lawrence, even Kelly Bryant was doing good stuff there. Deshaun Watson,
Taj
Boyd.
Yep.
Yeah, Clemson, they've been a good offensive team with a good quarterback, great receivers, but I don't know. It seems like they're kind of.
This guy struggled last year, and yeah. Bill, what about you?
You there, Bill? He might be froze up. But I guess another thing to look at on the Clemson offense. Are you there, Bill? Your mic ain't working again.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, there you go. You're good.
Sorry. So did you, when my mic was out, I couldn't hear either, but did you try to pronounce DJ's last name?
Yeah, Uiagalelei, I think, or something like that. I'm not exactly sure.
I just want to make sure I didn't miss that.
Yeah. I know something that they've been really high on lately is this Will Shipley kid, running back.
Yeah.
Sophomore, where's number one. So, you know, that's going to be something good. He made actually an incredible play in that Georgia Tech game. He made a block and then was on the ground, got up, and as the quarterback's falling to the ground, he just flips it over to him and he gets a 20-yard play off of it. He's a playmaker. Last year, 11 touchdowns, 700 yards rushing. This year, he's already got 4 touchdowns rushing in 2 games. So that's going to be something to watch. It feels like the game's going to be won in the trenches because Clemson, their D line is really good. Their defense as a whole is good. That's what's really carrying them this year. And it looks like they want to focus on the run game because of the struggles that the quarterback has had. So Tech's going to need to win in the trenches, and that's usually not something Tech can do, especially against a team that's bigger than them and just better, honestly.
Well, I wonder. I'm looking at the stats from the Furman Clemson game, and I be able to throw on them a little bit. Furman's quarterback was 30 of 39 for 256 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, and then they had a receiver that had 13 receptions for 95 yards and a touchdown. So,
That's crazy.
Yep.
I know you can have big stats, when you're getting your butt kicked, but Tech showed that against Nebraska several years back. I think we had 500 yards passing, but we got beat by 25.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if y'all watched that Georgia Clemson game I believe on that Monday night, but Georgia Tech moved the ball up and down on that defense a little bit. So
yeah, that game wasn't 41-10.
No, that score was very misleading because that score was pretty tight going into the third quarter, towards the end of the third quarter, and it just got out of hand there in the fourth quarter. So this defense, even though it's very, very good, I wonder, these first 2 games have been kind of okay. They haven't shown on TV how good they were projected to be, which I still think is a very good defense. Don't get me wrong. This defensive line is probably the best in the nation behind Alabama. So I think Clay, I think you're right. It's definitely going to have to be one in the trenches. We're just have to keep them, keep them out of Parker McNeil's face just a little bit, just buy him a little bit of time. And I think that's our only chance the way that we're going to have to just have to spread them out and just hopefully this offensive line of Tech can just give him 2 or 3 seconds
Can our offensive line keep those guys out?
Yeah, that's gonna be the big question mark for sure. And I guess something, if you're a Tech fan, you can kind of hope for is Clemson's next 2 games are at Wake Forest, who's number 19 in the nation right now, and then at home against NC State, who's number 16. So I doubt Clemson's in the locker room. I'm sure Dabo is trying to preach to them not to overlook the opponent and look ahead. But if you're a Clemson player, you're probably doing that. You're probably looking ahead to Wake Forest, who is looking pretty good this year, actually. And then they just got their quarterback back. NC State as well, looking good. Both of those teams, good offenses and everything. So those are going to be some tests. So maybe Tech come in there and give them a scare while they're not expecting it.
Yeah, I agree, Clay. I think this is a game that if you're Tech, I think you should come in with some confidence, especially after how you played last week. I feel like Clemson. I just feel like Clemson is probably going to be looking ahead towards Wake. So look, it's gonna be a fun game Saturday night. If we can just, like I said, get off to a fast start, I think that's our chance to hopefully make it interesting there in the second half.
Yeah. What I would actually hope Tech would do, we talked about winning in the trenches, but I think the best way for them to, I guess, stay competitive in this is get out there and sling it. Try to just establish, get McNeil some comfortable passes in there. We saw that Furman quarterback went 30 for 39. If he can do that, God, I'd hope Tech can do something better. You know?
like that. And I feel like Sonny's going to have a pretty good scheme, at least the first half. I've been very impressed with what he has tried to do right here in these first two games. So I feel like the game plan is going to be there. Hopefully we can just execute it. And hopefully McNeil can get his feet under him, and hopefully Sonny can get him in a pretty good rhythm, starting off with some easy throws, trying to get him loose and trying to get him comfortable. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a big task. But I'm kind of eager to see. I feel a little bit better playing Clemson now than if you were to say if Trevor Lawrence was there, or Taj Boyd, or Deshaun Watson, because knowing that DJ is still going to be the quarterback Saturday, it gives me a little bit of he has struggled, and hopefully he can continue to struggle Saturday.
But also, if you're Clemson, this could be a game where, if Tech does come out there, get a quick touchdown or so, kind of keep it like that Missouri first quarter, this might be the game where you see Clemson make that switch. They don't want to do it against Wake Forest or NC State at all. So they would definitely like to try that against Tech.
Yeah, because I don't know if you remember. I remember, I believe it was either game 3 or 4, whenever Trevor Lawrence got in for Kelly Bryant, and then that's when they kind of pushed Kelly Bryant to the side.
Yep.
And then that's when Trevor took over. So I wonder if this may be the same situation. If DJ can't move the offense like Dabo wants him to, he might get the early hook. And if you're a Tech fan, that's what you definitely want to see, is that they have some confusion back there of who they want to be at quarterback. So that's something else to be kind of looking at.
Yeah, that'll definitely get some eyes on the game. And I'm sure if they make that switch, a lot of people will be flipping over to the ACC network to watch that that Clemson and Tech game. So anything else y'all want to mention on that?
Bill, you there?
Anything else you got to mention, Bill? You hear us?
Yep.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're there.
Okay. No. I was only catching about half the conversation. My internet's kind of going a little slow tonight.
Elon's not giving out the full effort.
Well, I think there's some maybe it's bad cloudy or something, because it just started. So if there's any weather issues, sometimes it's
kind of funky.
Yeah, Elon's got to get out here and fix that. Tell him. So I guess we can look
there
around at the we can look around at the CUSA a little bit, kind of get a recap of last week. We talked about UTSA last week and how they're probably the favorite for the conference. They went to Army and played a heck of a game in overtime, 41-30.
Yeah, Clay. I actually followed that game pretty good bit, and UTSA was down for most of that game, and just happened to come back. I think they're down 14 at one point there in the second half, but they actually tied it up and then got it in overtime and then finally prevailed. But yeah, Army was in control of that game for pretty much from start to finish, and I was very surprised that UTSA came out with the win there. But yeah, very impressive win. And then I don't know if you caught the UAB Liberty game, and that was a very low scoring game, very slugfest type game, and so a tough loss for UAB. But guess what? They got to get back on their high horse, because they've got a Georgia Southern team coming in who just knocked off Nebraska. So, which is very interesting, is that UAB is an 11-point favorite when Georgia Southern just beat Nebraska. And Clay Helton is the coach for Georgia Southern.
Yeah, so I didn't know that until I was watching the Sports Center highlights, and they mentioned that Clay Helton's the coach there.
Yeah, so if you're a bettor, it's a very interesting. How is Georgia Southern getting 11 points?
Yeah.
So, and with UAB coming off a tough loss, I wonder if they're going to be able to shake back and cover the 11. So, yeah.
Another big spread, kind of like that it's shocking me a little bit. It's the Texas UTSA game. We talked about it a little bit last week, but since then, Texas probably played a better game than Alabama did. Probably should have won. If their quarterback is out there and stays healthy, I mean, that they probably win that game. They ended up losing, I think it was 20-19. And now Ewers is out for, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. So,
wow, yeah. That was a tough blow for Texas there in the second quarter where, man, Texas had all the momentum. He's playing great. Offense is moving very fluently. And then he just lands on his shoulder there, and it just. But yeah, that second string actually did pretty good. So if you're a UTSA fan, you're very excited how you got a wounded Texas team that you're playing after a very hard fought game against Alabama. So and look, that spread is actually kind of interesting. Texas is only favored by 11, so that's a very interesting line right there. So I'm definitely going to be following that game there Saturday because interesting to see. Because look, UTSA has played two close games. I think they both went in overtime. I think that Houston game did. So that's going to be very interesting to see how much gas left in the tank does UTSA have.
Yeah, that'll be one that it feels like it can either be UTSA either winning or losing by like a field goal at the end, or Texas just somehow dominates. It feels like maybe UTSA they get a little bit of that hype where they play a good game against Houston, they survive against Army, they have that explosive offense, they've had a good 2 or 3 years as a program, and then Texas just proves that, hey, we're Texas, we can beat whoever we want, And Hudson Card, he's a step down from Ewers, but he's got a little experience. He's kind of like a game manager. He might not be explosive, but he's going to do the right plays and everything.
Yeah, and I wonder how healthy he is, because late in that game, he was actually running for a first down and kind of checked up a little bit as he was going out of bounds. So I wonder how well that hamstring is feeling right now, because it looked like he's getting some cramps. So I'm kind of interested to see how healthy he is. So so it's kind of interesting to see with that going on, if that third string, I don't know who he is, but if that third string might get some playing time if he is not able to finish out the game.
Yeah. So you got two, I mean, that's also at 7:00 on the Longhorn Network. So you might have two ranked teams playing against two of these CUSA teams that might give them a little run for their money, especially early on.
Yeah, Clay, and especially with the Sun Belt having the year that they're having, especially last week when all three, when App State, Georgia Southern, Marshall all went in and beat some Power 5 teams. It's time for the Conference USA team to start stepping up and hopefully winning one of these games against a Power 5 team. So if we want to compare ourselves to the Sun Belt, we really need to start picking up our game as far as a conference, and hopefully stealing some of these wins, because right now the Sun Belt leaps and bounds above us right now as a conference. And when you looked at it, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we thought we were leaps and bounds above them, but now that tide has turned tremendously to where Sun Belt is just a way better football conference than us right now.
Yeah. And one more, that's another Power 5 game. It's at 11 a.m. actually. Western Kentucky goes to Indiana. Indiana, they're not – they had a year, I think it was that COVID year, where they had a top 10 team, I think. But they're not really a football program at all, which I'm not really sure if they're good at any sport right around now. It's been a while for their basketball team too. But that could be a game where 2-0 Western Kentucky goes in and kind of shocks them.
Yeah, because Indiana Penix, their quarterback last year, that lefty, he actually left, and I think he's at Washington right now. So Indiana's breaking in a new quarterback. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what this 2-0 Western Kentucky team can do going into Bloomsburg. And is it Bloomsburg? Is that where Indiana is?
Yeah, I believe.
Bloomington.
Okay, yeah.
Bloomington. So hopefully they go into Bloomington and then kind of shock the world a little bit, because our conference needs they can definitely get a few wins underneath their belt.
I didn't realize Penix was in Washington. He sure is.
Yep.
He's somehow a junior, and this is his 5th year. So,
jeez, wow.
He's going to be a super senior next year, I guess.
That's right. That's right.
They actually play Michigan State. That'll be interesting to see.
Is there? Yep.
Anything else to talk Conference USA?
Saw where Southern Miss gave Miami a kind of a scare, but last week where Miami kind of struggled with them. I know it was real close in the first half, and they ended up prevailing there in the second half. But I wonder if Miami was looking ahead towards Texas A&M. But yes, I thought Southern Miss was going to have a lot better second half because they actually played them pretty tight there in the first half. So, but yeah, that was kind of interesting to see.
Yeah. I remember looking on ESPN app and looking at the scores and seeing, I think it was actually 7-10 or something. Yeah, 7-10 at halftime. And you didn't expect that at all from Southern Miss.
No, you did not. And so, yeah, I don't know who Southern Miss has this week, but yeah, I want to say Conference USA. I think there was close to 500 as the teams that went last week. I think UTEP got a win.
They did. Yeah.
Rice got a win. Rice got a win out of, I believe, McNeese State, and so
Middle Tennessee State went and beat Colorado State. That's kind of a step up, and
yeah. I
think Colorado State's pretty bad this year, but still, that's a bigger school and everything.
That's right. Yep. So I guess that's our big win for the for the conference so far.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so
I
think we're good. I think we're good at college. You want to talk a little bit of high school? I know you went to the Ruston game, right?
I did. It was a very, very close game. It's kind of similar of how the Warren Eastern game went. Warren Eastern and Ruston was tied at halftime, so it was a Jesuit Ruston game. Ruston kind of took control there in the third quarter in both games, and so and then we tried to give it away like we did again against Warren Eastern, but this Ruston High team is just very good on both sides of the ball. We finally got a quarterback that has enough confidence to throw it. He's Jaden Osborne is actually looking very, very good. He's actually a senior this year. He's actually a 3-year starter. So he looks totally different from his first 2 years of starting. Dyson Fields at running back is just an absolute beast. Once you get him going downhill, he's hard to stop. He's just a very elusive running back. We finally got a receiver that's just he's very, very good. Jackson is his name. He actually transferred back to Neville. He started at Ruston his freshman year, went to Neville for 2 years, and came back this year for a senior year at Ruston. And he's been a really good receiver, very steady. He made a heck of a catch during the first half there where they just threw it up in the end zone, and it was just one-on-one, and he just outwheeled the cornerback there to make a really good catch in the end zone. So very impressed Ruston High team. This is probably one of our better teams we've had in a while. But I didn't like what the LHSAA did over the last week with those rule change a little bit. Kind of wish they would have pushed it back to next year. I don't understand why they started it this year with all that. But yeah, Ruston has Cabot, Arkansas this week. Don't know much about them. Then they go on the road next week to Lafayette Christian and follow up Neville for the 9-district schedule. So Coach Ball is definitely not scared of playing any tough opponents.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But very impressed of this Ruston High team so far.
Yeah, and I kind of forgot that all that happened with the class changes and everything. And if you're Ruston, you're probably not too scared. There's nothing else that they could really do because they're already in the highest division, and like you said, they're playing every team that's tough in the freaking state already. LCA, they're I think they're listed as 2A or something like that, but they're one of the top 5 or 10 teams in the state pretty clearly. But if you're Jonesboro Hodge, I'm thrilled for it. We kind of get back into the 1A range. Yeah, we still have some teams that drop down Oak Grove's coming with us. I think like East Feliciana actually is. But so there's a couple teams that are 2A, but they're playing 1A now. But Jonesboro being that smallest 2A for 2 or 3 years now, finally getting in that competition that I think is more fair. Last year when we went down to a meet, yeah, we probably could have won. We were beating them at the beginning and everything, but at the end of the day, when you look at the numbers, like they were like doubled our size in school and everything and team, like it just wasn't. It didn't feel fair at the end of the day, and I'm kind of glad that we get back into those Haynesville teams and Logan Sport,
Homer.
Yeah. I mean, teams like that. I think it's going to be more competitive. And now that 1A playoffs where if you're Logan Sport, if you're Homer, I'm practically in the semifinals without even having to try. Now it's right. Now the quarterfinals are going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be great competition all around. And Jonesboro's off to a bad start this year, 0-2, lost to West Ouachita. I wasn't really expecting that. But with the 1A competition, yeah, there's some good teams, but I think we have more of a chance to sneak in and give someone a competitive game that didn't expect it. I like our chances a lot more to go to one of the Logan Sport, Homer or something, play with them that's more our size than be a 25 seed and go down to a meet or
Kentwood,
something like that. Yeah. Something like that. So I like it for Jonesboro for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see. There's some changes for the other sports that we don't get into that, but like those B and C schools joining up with the bigger schools. Like I know Quitman, it's crazy to see them in a conference with a division with Manny in basketball and baseball and softball like that. It's going to be a big change. I'm here for it. We need some type of change. So let's go for it. But speaking about football this past weekend, we got to mention the Neville Ouachita game. Ouachita went out there and I don't know if many people gave them a chance, mostly just because of the names of the programs. It's Neville. They're going to win. That's how it always feels. But Ouachita, they've got a heck of a running back. They do, yeah. Man, I think he had 4 touchdowns or something, like 250 yards, and he also had a pick on the other side. So,
And I tell you what, Clay, Todd Garvin is a very, very good football coach. He actually came from Ruston. I think he was offense coordinator at Ruston. So this guy knows how to coach football. And so they went down to Rummel, and I think they met in Baton Rouge whenever they played that game, but they gave Rummel all they wanted. And so I was surprised whenever they went into Neville, and with the I believe there was like a 2 or 3 hour delay there. So the game didn't get over until close to midnight. But very impressed with what Ouachita did. This team was good last year. I mean, this team knocked off West Monroe. So Todd Garvin's got this bunch heading in the right direction. So I'm kind of interested to see how this Ouachita team fares out going for the rest of the season because Todd Garvin's done a very good job with that squad, taking over for Jeff Fitzgerald.
Yeah, that adds another wrinkle into that playoffs. I mean, Ouachita, they might compete with Ruston for the district too. That's going to be.
Yep.
I think they're both better than West Monroe. You still can't count them out. I mean, right when we expected West Monroe to go down to Sterlington, they handled them. So you never know with West Monroe. It's going to be fun at least.
It is. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, that District 2-5A is stout again, and so West Monroe is not going to have a cakewalk like they're used to having here in this district. So, but yeah, kind of interesting to see how that District 2-5A shakes out going forward, and especially for the last game of the year between Ruston and West Monroe at Ruston.
Oh, it's at Ruston this year. That's good.
Yep, it is. And so Yeah, that's going to be a hard ticket to get there. That last game in November.
Oh yeah, yeah. They might need to move that to Tech right there at Bill's background. I don't know
That
if his
would,
Zoom
yeah.
call. So anything else y'all want to bring up? I don't know how long we've gone on this. It's probably nearing an hour, but
Yeah, just kind of interesting to see what Bill's take was on the LHSAA change as far as, is it going to be all right for Jonesboro? Does it shape up a little bit better from his perspective as far as how far they can go in the playoffs?
Oh yeah, I think so. I was terribly excited, and I heard a little bit about could hear a little bit of what Clay was saying earlier. I kind of felt the same way, Clay, when I saw it. It was like, I felt kind of relief.
oh, you're cutting out again.
But yeah, Clay. Yeah, my only thing was I kind of wish the new rule would have went into effect next year, because I obviously like what they did. I kind of like where they kind of mixed the two, the big 4As going in playing with the 5As and the small 4As going in with the 3As. So I like their concept of it. I just didn't like how can you implement it this year, and plus. I want to say they cut back on the bracket. I think there was 32 teams last year. I think there's 28 and some. And so it's like, how can you do that and then cut back? Because now it really makes it tougher for those bottom tier schools like a West Ouachita trying to compete to even get into the playoffs because they're thinking at the beginning of the year, okay, we just got to get in the top 32. Well, now they throw this curveball on us, and now like, oh, now we really need to make sure that we take care of business each week to make sure we get in the top 28 just so we can make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's 28 for public and 24 for private. So you're knocking it down from five divisions or classes to 4, and you're knocking down the number of teams that make the playoffs. So
yeah,
if you're
Clay,
a football fan, it's making it more competitive all around.
Yep. And Clay, and this is what I don't get. Okay, the schools in Rapides Parish are considered select now, like your Ashes, your Pinevilles. I understand that they're open enrollment to where anyone in the parish can go to your school if you have transportation. But how does someone like Ruston or Jonesboro Hodge like that, who's the only football school in the parish, how are they still non-select? That's what I don't get, is how can you have the same situation for Lincoln Parish and Jackson Parish, but how can you have a public school like in Rapides Parish? How are they a select school now? That kind of throws my hands up in the air. It's like, what's going on there?
Yeah, you never really know what the LHSAA is going to do. I never really understood why Jonesboro became a select. It was always weird to me. Yeah, we're the open enrollment, but whenever we appealed, I didn't think that we were actually going to get changed. I hoped we would, and I'm glad we did, but I'm not really sure the reason why. I haven't really heard what their issue was or what made them change their mind this time since last, but I don't know. It always just seemed weird to me to think Jonesboro Hodge might play in the same thing as like John Curtis, like them being on the same side of like. That just don't make sense. It don't.
Yeah. Yep. So what does Coach Blankenship feel? Does he feel like he has a better shot in the non-select, or does he feel like he has a better shot in the select side as far as his team?
I believe he was wanting the non-select.
Yeah, he likes it. I mean, he likes where we're sitting right now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. We might not see a lot this year from Jonesboro just because it's been hard to replace 95% of the offense that we lost last year. And well, honestly, those guys were also the defense, but next year we'll be bringing back, Xavier will be back again for his senior year. All these young playmakers on offense will be another year in, maybe sophomore years for the freshmen and quarterback and running back. So I think next year we can have a little bit more of a competitive year, but hey, by year's end, who knows? We might be able to go up somewhere and play a team that's actually our size and knock them off or give them a scare at least. So,
Right.
So anything else
Bill-
you want to bring up?
Well, did we? I don't guess we touched on the Jay Hodge game.
No, I wasn't there, so that's all you. If you want to
Oh,
say
yeah.
anything.
Can I bring this?
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse courthouse?
You know, it was tied 6-6 at halftime. We actually threw a
That internet,
broke out
man,
again,
I don't
yeah.
know. Every time he
Yeah.
gets going.
He gets going, he just cuts him off. But
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I was
6-6 at halftime, right, Bill?
yeah 6-6 at halftime.
what was your thinking of the West Washita running back, the little Ford kid? Was he impressive? Was he? I've been hearing some good things about him.
Yeah. He ran hard all the time. He was hard to bring down. He was always leaning when he was running. So I mean, he was
He's
packing
always falling forward.
He never got knocked. You know, nobody ever put a real good lick on him. I mean, if they did, he popped right back up. I mean, he seemed like a pretty tough kid.
Yeah. And it seems like that's most of their offense, is that they really lean on him on the offense side of the ball.
And then the Michael Nolan, the
Beast of the week.
linebacker they've got.
Yeah.
He's real deal. He's
Really?
good. Yeah.
Yeah. What I heard is that their linebacker crew that's their strength on defense. They have a really good linebacker crew there. So, I
Of course,
hear very good things.
The big problem we had, like I said, 6-6 at the half. During the second half, we would move the ball and get stalled. We went for it on fourth down 3 different times. Yeah, I mean fourth and less than a yard each time, and got stopped. Got stood up at the line every time. And they tried to quarterback sneak our freshman 125-pound quarterback, and he looked like he was bouncing off a concrete wall. I mean,
that right there, that situation is probably the worst situation we could have been in against the West Washita team, who, yeah, they're probably not as good as a 5A school, or most of them, but they're still a 5A school with size. They've got the numbers. They're going to have big players, and that's Jonesboro's weakness this year, and it has been for a while now, is the trench play, especially O-line. D-line, we've had some guys that are able to make plays every now and then, but if you think back to last year, we beat them like 41-10 or something, and most of that was just airing the ball out, Malone to Mosey, stuff like that, where we just beat them down the field with our speed, but we just don't have that experience at the skill positions at quarterback this year to make that happen. Hopefully it happens this week against Bunkie. Bunkie, God, we beat them 51-0 last year, so we should be able to get a win. I would hope so. Maybe get the season back on track.
Yeah, I hope we can, just get those, like you said, the young skill guys, get them some experience so they don't look. I mean, they look a little lost sometimes, and well, of course, Simeon Malone. I think this is probably his first varsity snaps at quarterback.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like if you're Coach Blank, you got to be excited going forward, knowing what you did up against a 5A team. I mean, you got to be pretty excited going forward, knowing that, look, we hung with him for the first half. We're not going to face another team like this. So you get your guys ready going forward down the road, to where I feel like it's a good test for those guys, to where they got some experience that they needed. And I think it's only going to benefit Jonesboro Hodge going forward and further in the season.
Yeah, the way that I'm kind of looking at the year is just that we've got a freshman quarterback who I think can be really good. Maybe he might not be able to do it this year just because of size, honestly, and experience, but maybe get him enough snaps this year and just get him comfortable with the game, get him 3 years in the system after this year. And then we've also got a freshman running back who I think is going to be a freaking stud. You've already seen it against General Trask. He was running the ball. He broke a 50-yard carry that got called back because of a block in the back that had nothing to do with the play. It was a touchdown and everything, but he's going to be really good. They're going to be a dynamic duo. They were playing together at junior high in the backfield. And we'll find the skill positions on the outside at receiver. We always do. That's the thing. Jonesboro's never going to lack the speed or the talent out there. It's just getting a quarterback to throw the ball to them and having one that's in the building as a freshman. That feels good because usually it's who's our best athlete and give him his senior year to kind of make it happen. But this year, hey, let the freshmen do it, build some experience, and let's have a competitive end of the year at least, and then get ready for next year. So anything else y'all want to say before we end this thing? I think we're over an hour now, probably. So.
Wow, that was quick. Man.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just getting started. Yeah. Very good. But no, I just hope Ruston and Jonesboro Hodge can come out with some wins, and hopefully we can have something very productive and some very good news to talk about next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is it for this week of our second episode of Teched Up. Hopefully Tech don't tech it up this Saturday against Clemson. Hopefully they give us a little something to be excited about, and happy to be a Tech fan.
What is y'all's prediction for the Tech Clemson game?
Ooh, give me Tech 13, Clemson 38.
Bill, what about you?
Yeah, I thought we were going to cover that 20.5 at Missouri's.
That's true. And this week it's what, a 34, I think?
34. So I'm going to say 35 to 10. What's 40, that, Bill?
42-21.
I'm going to say 35 to 10. That's my prediction.
All right. Well, there we go. This was fun, guys. We'll be ready for next week.
I'll have stable internet by then.
Yeah, hopefully Elon gets out here and fixes that. All right. Well, go Dogs.
Yes, sir. All right. Have a good one.